Welcome to the Big Change the Film interview series, and my name is Jason Cohen. I personally have lost over 120 pounds, and every week I chat with inspiring individuals who've also lost significant amounts of weight, hear their stories, and pass along some of that inspiration to others. Including today's guest and myself, the total pounds lost is now up to 10,297 pounds. This week's guest is Josh Turner, who lives in Thibodaux, Louisiana. He struggled with his weight and his health until recently, and even told me about the time where he almost died twice within a week as a result of his diabetes. He's recently taken back his health, he's been able to control his diabetes with his diet, and he's also lost 97 pounds in the process. His message out there for all diabetics is, never give up on yourself. We have a great conversation, and thanks so much for watching. I have the pleasure of being here with Josh Turner. We have become friends through Josh Lajani, through that running group down there, through the Missing Chins Club, and got a chance to have some pretty cool experiences together. So Josh, first off, thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
Oh, anytime, man. You're a cool dude, man.
Just a warning, there's a Saints game going on in the background, so if we hear any hooping and hollering, it's how Josh knows that they've scored.
Yeah.
But you know, you're a slim fit runner, trim guy now, but as people may have seen before through various media outlets, or just through your own Facebook page or stuff Josh has shared, you weighed a lot more.
Yeah.
So how much have you lost total?
Almost 100 pounds, around 97-ish.
Okay.
I've lost about 97, probably about 98 now. So,
which is
I'm trying to gain a little bit of weight right now because I'm really slim.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. Well, and I think too, it's a little deceiving because when you say 100 pounds, how tall are you?
I'm only like 5'4", so 100 pounds on me is a ton of weight.
Yeah,
you couldn't even see my neck at one point. Like my chin actually sat on my shoulders, so I was really overweight and had tons of medical issues too. So
yeah, whenever I hear 100 pounds and I look at your picture, I almost think that it's too low. But you forget the fact that you're 100 pounds on a smaller frame. That's a lot of weight. I mean, 100 pounds is a lot of weight on anybody, but especially, I mean, you're talking about, I'm almost 9 inches taller than you. So
yeah,
it's a big deal. So take me back. You're from Thibodaux. You're from, as Josh and others would say, the Bayou, so to speak.
Yeah.
But what is that? What did that look like growing up? Were you always big? Is it something that took a while to put on the weight? What did that look like?
Actually, when me and Josh was actually childhood friends, I was actually pretty slim. And then at one point I had got pretty big as a child, and that's when the diabetes set in at that point, and then I got really skinny again. It was a yo-yo effect at that point, and I had gained a lot of weight, and then all of a sudden I got real skinny because the diabetes took over and it started taking the fat and eating my body away at that point. So when I was younger, I became type 1 diabetic at the age of 10 years old, and that kind of took over my whole life, the type 1 diabetes.
And for somebody who, maybe isn't as familiar or maybe doesn't have somebody in their life who's been affected by diabetes as much, what does life with diabetes look like?
It's a total life changer. At 10 years old, the doctors are telling me I have to start taking shots, and I have to start eating totally different, and I have to go to all kind of classes, and they're trying to teach me how to eat, and it's you telling a child that they can't have sugar anymore, and that you got to stay away from all kind of carbs, and they want you to eat like more meat products, and it's a total life changer. And I was very active at that age, and I was playing football and stuff like that, but that kind of changed too, because when all that started happening, I had to deal with low sugars that I've never knew what even that was. And, all of a sudden, I'm not the normal kid anymore. And I'm out there trying to be normal when on the outside I look normal, but on the inside I'm totally a different person than anybody on this whole earth can even fathom. It was a bunch of stuff to take in at a young age.
And we should also say that, because I know there's a bit of a difference, at least in quote unquote management. For you, yours is type 1 diabetes, which is drastically different than type 2, correct?
Correct. With me, I am insulin dependent, and I'll always be insulin dependent. What happens is my body does produce insulin, but my autoimmune system attacks it and makes it null and void in my body, where it doesn't use it. It can't use it. So I actually have to use an outsourced insulin source to come into my body and use that, and my body actually uses an outsourced insulin.
Wow. And then where did the weight gain, kind of come on? Like at what point in life?
After in my 20s, I started putting on a lot of pounds. I started working, and that's where I didn't become active anymore. And, I just started eating and didn't really care about my diabetes too much. And, and when you don't care about that diabetes, it sneaks up on you, and that weight starts coming on and coming on and coming on. And it just ballooned out. It really got really out of control when my mom passed away, and that's when it ballooned out of control. And, I was way on my way out the door, bro. Way out the way.
And when you say that, because I know weight is something that's hard for anybody. It's something that, makes it harder to get around. You're uncomfortable, your own skin, things like that. But compound that with the diabetes. Because again, for maybe myself or people who don't understand, what does that look like? How is that different when you have all that weight and you are also, so you're unhealthy because of your eating, but also you have this thing that you can't control happening to you as well?
Yeah. Well, when you get overweight as a diabetic, it just takes over everything. Your sugars are out of control, and it brings on all kind of health issues. It started taking over my eyes, and it started complicating my kidneys. And diabetes actually takes over your life. If you don't take control over it, it takes over everything in your body. If you don't control it, but I wasn't controlling it. I was just eating very unhealthy, and I would eat 3-4 McDonald's hamburgers at one time, man. And that's not right, and anything, even on a normal person, that's not healthy, and stuff like that's just it's not cool anymore.
And then, did you have moments throughout that process where you were putting on weight, where, you're not feeling good? Did you have any moments in that process where you felt like, I have to do something? Did you make any attempts previously to kind of reverse things as far as your eating and your weight?
Well, at some point you think you're doing, you're like, I'm going to eat this and try to do this, and everything, it just never worked, because down here is the food is. Everything revolves, like everybody says down here, everything revolves around food, and it's horrible that everything revolves around food down here, and you probably know that, and we're all just living down here, and just the food just takes over us, and it's horrible. It really is.
And maybe for somebody who's not from here, give somebody an idea of what you mean by that everything revolves around food. Like what would a day or a week or how would that kind of manifest itself?
Well, all right. Right now, Mardi Gras is coming around, so that just is a big party down here. So everything revolves around food. You go and you at a parade, and people are cooking, and it's crawfish balls, and it's barbecues, and nothing but alcohol consumption, and all that's going on at that time. And now my life doesn't revolve around that. I try to stay away from that type of things. And, down here, even at birthday parties, it's just tons and tons of food and and really it's nothing. It's it's tons of animal products that we're eating down here. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous how we eat that down here. It's crazy. We don't have any nutrients in our diets at all. And when we think we're eating nutrients, it's tons of rice with tons of meat in it. It's a stew or it's a jambalaya with tons of crap in it. There's no nutrients at all in it.
Yeah, Mardi Gras season. I didn't think about that till you just said it, but we are I guess fastly approaching, and it's like who's bringing the next king cake?
Yeah,
and like you said, the parties, and it truly is the carnival, super heighten all the senses.
Oh, they just scored.
we got a Saints score, ladies and gentlemen.
Scored. Yes, I'm
See,
sorry.
If you were in a different life, you would have eaten a piece of cake right now, or a cookie, or taken a shot of alcohol.
Yeah, right now I'd probably be at a bar right now, and I try to stay away from all that. I try to stay at my house now, and try to stay around good company now, because I love my friends and family that I had when I was bigger, and I still hang with those people. But my life was totally different at that time too. I was big and I was the punt of everybody's jokes, and I was the big guy and the guy that everybody made fun of, and I was the fun guy, and everybody wanted to hang around me because I was the good cook of everybody too. And I could throw down on a barbecue pit. I could cook the best boiled seafood, and, and my mom, and she enjoyed my cooking, and she always wanted me to cook for her on Mother's Day. And, I made the best ribs, and everything has changed in my life now. Everything.
So, life looks completely different than you did in the Santa outfit that everybody saw on Good Morning America.
Yeah. That was totally no stuffing in that. That was all me in that Santa costume.
I'm gonna put that picture up. So what was the point of change for you? Did you have a really fast, kind of deciding moment, or did it take a while? Like, what did that look like for you?
This, I never really thought about this. And this was the game changer, actually, when I went to the doctor. But this was the actual game changer. And my niece, I sat down and talked to her, and she says, Josh, why you don't tell people what really happened, why you went to the doctor? And, I never really thought about telling people this. But actually, I got 2 times in 1 week, I had an ambulance at my house. And I almost tapped out twice. They actually had to bring me back twice from my diabetes. And that's what actually made me go to the doctor. And for a doctor to tell me that, look at you. But I actually almost died twice in 1 week from my diabetes. And that's what actually gave me my wake-up call. That's what made me go to that doctor. And that doctor say, look at you. You're a big guy, and, your sugars are high. But they're not that bad, but, look at you. Just look at the person that you are. And that's where everything changed, when that ambulance came to my house twice in that week. And then I had a good friend made me a doctor's appointment. And she said, you need to go to the doctor and go get this under control. And then the doctor tells me, he's like, look at you. You need to do something with your life. And that day, I left the doctor's office. I had a treadmill on the back porch. I'd been there forever. It might have been there for 3 years. But I got on that treadmill, and I started walking. And that day, I gave up dairy. All dairy went away. All red meat went away. And I was eating chicken, and I was eating turkey, and I was eating tons of that. But that still didn't change anything. My sugars were still high. My A1Cs were high. And, that day, all that started to change. And I had a good friend, and he's your friend, Josh Ajani. And me and him started becoming close again. And I seen him losing weight, and I'm like, man, this guy, he's pretty slim, you know. And I started asking him questions. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, man, I'm this plant-based guy now. And I'm like, I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. It was like he was talking gibberish to me. And then I started studying, and then I started watching Forks Over Knives, and I started watching Cowspiracy, and man, I'm like, man, they like everything. Meat consumption is actually horrible for a diabetic. So I started doing my own experiments where, you know, I was still eating tons of turkey. And then when I was eating that tons of turkey, every morning I'd wake up. Every single morning my sugars were high. Every morning. So I was trying to catch up and get that under control. All day I was trying to get that under control. So all of a sudden I said, well, you know, Josh is telling me to eat plant-based and start eating more vegetables. So I started cutting out that turkey. And then all of a sudden, man, this is an aha moment. I was like, man, you know, my sugars are good. And I'm like getting my A1Cs then jump 5 points. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what A1Cs are. A1Cs are over a 3-month period. This is going to tell you if a diabetic is doing good. And every diabetic on this whole earth, it doesn't matter if you're type 1, type 2, you're diabetic. You're diabetic. Every diabetic is a diabetic, no matter if you're type 1 or type 2. So there's no diabetic on this earth that's going to say, well, you're different. No, I'm diabetic, and I know what that means to you, and I know what that means to me. You're diabetic. I have hyperglycemic, and I have high sugars. Every diabetic's the same, no matter if I'm type 1 or type 2. Everything's the same. Well, all of a sudden, when I became plant-based, everything changed. I started feeling better. I had high blood pressure. I had colitis. I had tons of medical issues that went away. And there's nothing you can say that changes any of that. And there's no way that anybody on God's green earth that is going to make me eat any animal products anymore.
Wow. So, you know, how long did it take? Because I'm thinking as a diabetic, you have, in a way that oftentimes people don't have, an ability to know and gauge your body, to know how you're feeling at every moment. Like, you're very in tune with your body in a way that you have to be. You know, it's a requirement for you. How long did it take for you to start noticing a difference? Was that pretty instantaneous? Did it take a little while? Did it take a little while for you to recognize, you know, the connection? Like, what was that process like?
Well, like it was almost instantaneously when I went plant-based. Like, I just started feeling better. My sugars got under control. Everything changed. When I started leaving everything alone, every dairy product, all that alone, it changed almost instantly. And that's what I'm trying. Like, I'm actually trying to save diabetics' lives and trying to tell them. And everybody, like, when you tell a diabetic, because when you grow up as a diabetic, they'll tell you, you know, stay away from carbs. But look, you can see I'm very slim, and I eat tons and tons and tons of carbs. Like, everything that I was taught at growing up was totally wrong. Totally wrong. And the nutrition they're teaching people is totally wrong. And I really believe that. And I'm living proof. I'm living proof. Like, you've been around me, and you've seen the changes I've done. You've seen how more, like we was in New York, and we got out that cab and we just started running, you know, like, man, let's just start running. Like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that before.
So, when I can, in fact, Josh is a ball of energy that is never ending, as he will show this weekend at the Louisiana Marathon and also at Leadville. So, you know, what did you do about the identity that you had for so long? Because I'm thinking you're the rib guy, you're the pun of all the jokes, you know, all that kind of stuff. How did you work through all that? How do you still work through all that?
Well, you know, you know, and I hate to say it, and like a lot of those friends that I had, they kind of went away, and I made all new friends, and you know, it brought me closer to my family, you know, and my family, and it made me closer to my brother, and it's closer to my sister. You know, my brother is a big runner. He's been a runner all his life. He's been running. He was in the military, and he ran for 20 years. And, you know, it brought me closer to my family, and I'm closer to all of y'all guys and Josh and all that people that really changed my life, you know. And it's made me a total different person, man. You know, I'm calling my brother to go on runs, and he's going to be running Sunday with us, and you're going to meet my brother for the first time. And, you know, this is what I want to tell everybody, because my sister is a type 2 diabetic, and nobody knows that either. Nobody knows that. But, so, this range of diabetes, she's changing. She has lost 25 pounds. She is eating like me now. And she is changing, you know. So, I want to tell everybody that too.
Wow, that's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
What is, looking back over these last couple of years, what sticks out to you that has surprised you about this journey? Things that you just thought would never have been previously possible.
What sticks out is like the knowledge that people just don't know that the stuff they're eating and that food is medicine. It literally is medicine. And people don't know that. And I didn't know that. And you probably didn't know that. And Josh and Johnny probably didn't know that. And everybody on this earth doesn't know that. And people need to start, like, get out there, read a book. Netflix, everybody has Netflix. Everybody. There's What the Health. There's Cowspiracy. There's tons and tons of documentaries. You have documentaries. Howard Jacobson has podcasts. Dr. Casey Johnson has podcasts that everybody on this earth can get the knowledge that me and you have now. That we know that food is medicine. Right?
Absolutely. So you went from being 100 pounds overweight. You had the treadmill. You're now a runner. You're running a half marathon this weekend. Did you ever think that was going to be a part of your life?
No, I used to have trouble going to the mailbox, man. I'd get out of breath just going to the mailbox. And I heard one of my good friends, Dustin Lajani, was on the Today Show, and he's like, I bent over and I couldn't even breathe to tie my own shoes, and I know what he's talking about, because I couldn't even do that. And it was so much trouble for me to do a lot of things, but now I'm out there striving to run a full marathon now, and I'm about to be in Leadville with you guys on the top of a mountain, and that's just out of the box for me now. That's just like life is just a total different thing for me now. And I think the Saints just scored again, man.
That's awesome. Well, I know you kind of hinted at it, but if you're going to have a conversation with somebody who's at the beginning of this journey, and maybe they are a diabetic, or maybe they're just somebody who's struggled for a large part of their life, what would you tell that person on day one?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Start leaving. The first day, leave dairy alone. Dairy and meat, leave it alone. I know it's hard, and it's going to be hard, and your nutritionist and the doctor is going to tell you all kind of crazy stuff that carbs are killing you. But a lot of doctors on this earth, and if you go ask them, hey, doc, how many nutrition classes you had? And every doctor on this earth is going to tell you, none. So you need to start getting out there, reading a lot of things, watching Forks Over Knives, and you got to start being very knowledgeable on this earth, because our nutrition sucks. It really does. And the nutrition they are teaching us sucks. And I'm sorry I'm being so straightforward about it, but it does, you know.
So if you could go back in time and have that conversation with yourself, and the person who didn't take care of their health, didn't manage their diabetes, things like that, what would you say to that person?
You know, I could have probably helped my mom. She probably wouldn't have died of heart disease, and you know, and I probably could have been a lot healthier, and I'd have never got that big guy, and I probably wouldn't just a lot of things wouldn't have happened in my life that. My sister probably wouldn't be a type 2 diabetic, and just a lot of things would have changed,
And
A
one
lot of
thing,
things would,
and one thing I was curious to ask you as well, just before we wrap up, that I've become more aware of is, obviously living with diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2, from what I've heard you talk about, what I've talked about with others, can be really tough. But additionally, as you get up in age, end of life, things like that can become a pretty bleak looking thing. Can you kind of share some light on that?
Yes,
and what life was, like were you prepared for what that was going to mean for you, getting up later in life?
Well, when you get older with diabetes, it can start having effects on your eyes, your kidneys, and all kind of things. It can just take over your life. But now I'm a 40-year-old guy out there running with type 1 diabetes, but it's still hard for me even doing that because I got to worry about my sugars getting low, and I got to have people running with me, and it still can be a strain on anybody. But when you eat right and you change that, and you change your habits, and you get out there and you get active, everything changes. Everything changes. Everybody on this God's green earth can change everything in their life. Because me and you, we're both big guys, and look at us now.
Looking better than ever, Josh Turner. Well, thank you, sir, for the time, for the inspiration, for sharing your story, and I'll look forward to seeing you very, very soon.
Thank you, man. And look, diabetics don't give up. Don't ever give up. You got to fight for yourself. Because I know a lot of diabetics just give up. So don't give up on yourself.
Great. And I'll include a link to your Facebook page so people can connect with you. And thanks again, Josh.
Thank you, man.